Welcome, everybody. Today we're going deep on AI in sports. And I got to say, this stuff is really getting interesting,
Oh, it is.
especially ChatGPT.
Right.
It's like having this crazy smart research assistant
Yeah.
who can break down, really complicated topics just like that.
Yeah, it really is
Yeah,
fascinating how it's being used, in specific areas. You've got training plans, you've got psychology.
right. We've actually got three really cool sources we're diving into today.
Okay.
First up is a study by Washif and a whole team of sports scientists. And they actually put ChatGPT to the test to
Oh.
design, workout programs.
Wow.
Then we got Telesabo's paper, which looks at ChatGPT's knowledge of sports psychology. So, can it understand the minds of athletes?
Yeah.
Specifically, they focused on exercise addiction.
Interesting.
Yeah. And lastly, we'll touch on a study that talks about how important nutrition education is for athletes.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious to see how that all kind of ties in with this whole AI training
Yeah,
concept,
that's a really good point.
right? Because they're all connected. You know,
Yeah, each of these sources touches on such a different part of an athlete's journey, and it seems like AI has the potential to kind of weave through all of them.
exactly. So let's jump into that first one, the study where they had ChatGPT create these resistance training programs.
Yeah.
What blew me away was that both GPT 3.5 and GPT 4.0, they were able to generate these 12-week programs,
Hmm.
complete with, different phases targeting things like hypertrophy and strength building. And I
Yeah.
was like, wow, AI can understand periodization like it knows to split the training up.
It is impressive how it's applying those fundamental principles of, resistance training.
Right.
But, the study did show that there were some limitations there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for example, they noticed that ChatGPT's programs didn't really include some of the newer techniques that are being used in resistance training.
Yeah, oh, interesting.
So it's almost like you've got this chef who can make a fantastic basic dish,
Okay.
but, they haven't quite caught up with all the latest culinary trends.
So it's got the basics, but it misses some of that really, cutting edge stuff.
Exactly.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of that third study, the one about athletes and nutrition.
Oh, yeah.
It was saying how, so many athletes don't actually have the right knowledge about nutrition.
Hmm.
And that's like a huge part of, the whole training picture.
Absolutely it is.
It makes me think even if AI could, figure out the perfect workout, what if it can't help athletes actually fuel their bodies the right way,
Oh, yeah, that's crucial.
right, to get those results?
Nutrition's so complex and it's so individual. There's so much variation from person to person. And it seems like that's something that AI hasn't quite mastered yet.
Okay, so maybe ChatGPT isn't like our all-in-one, AI trainer quite yet.
Not quite yet.
But I'm curious about its understanding of sports psychology,
Oh, yeah.
because the second study we have really dives into that, looking specifically at exercise addiction.
This is where it gets really interesting, right? Can it actually grasp those complex psychological factors
Right.
that have such a huge impact on, how athletes perform?
Exactly. And they really zeroed in on this specific topic, exercise addiction, to see what ChatGPT could do.
Okay.
And, the results were a little bit all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Some things it totally nailed, like listing out the symptoms of exercise addiction.
Mm.
It even suggested CBT
Oh,
as a
well.
treatment option.
Which is interesting because that is a type of therapy that's used to kind of help manage, thoughts and behavior.
All right.
Pretty advanced.
Yeah, but then there were other things that were just so off base. It was almost funny, claiming that exercise addiction is more common in men.
That's right.
It's like, wait, what?
And it actually even invented case studies and theoretical models
I know, right?
that don't exist.
Is it like trying to make things up to cover for what it doesn't know?
It seems like,
That's scary.
it is. It shows that, yeah, it can give you some accurate information, but you really have to think critically
Yeah.
and double check anything it tells you
Oh, absolutely.
with, credible sources.
Yeah. So even when you get to something as specific as exercise addiction,
Right.
we still need that human oversight.
Definitely. AI can be a good starting point for exploring these topics in sports psychology, but it's not a replacement for experts in the field and validated research.
So interesting, because it kind of goes back to that resistance training study too.
Yeah.
They both show that ChatGPT can handle the basic stuff.
Uh-huh.
But when it comes to those really nuanced, complex areas,
Yeah.
whether it's advanced training techniques or, the ins and outs of exercise addiction,
It struggles.
it struggles a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it's still learning the ropes when it comes to these more specialized areas within sports.
Right.
But the exciting thing is it's learning quickly, and who knows what it'll be able to do, in a few years.
I know this is already making me think about AI in sports so differently.
Yeah,
Like, it clearly has this huge potential to be this powerful tool to help us understand these topics more deeply. But it's also clear that we can't just, let it run wild.
right.
We need that human expertise, especially when we're dealing with something as complex as, the human body and mind.
Absolutely. This is really just the beginning of the conversation, and it's one that, I'm excited to keep exploring.
Me too. I'm already thinking, like, where's this all headed?
Mm.
And how's it going to change the way we, train athletes and even understand them in the future?
Right.
It's exciting and a little bit scary at the same time,
It is.
but definitely a lot to think about.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll dive even deeper into the potential of AI in sports.
Sounds good.
We'll be right back.
All right. It's incredible to think about how quickly this AI stuff is evolving.
I know, right?
Like just a few years ago, the idea of AI creating workout programs or, understanding the psychology of an athlete sounded crazy.
Totally like science fiction.
Right.
It really makes you wonder, though, where is it all going? What could future versions of ChatGPT even be capable of in the world of sports?
Well, one area that I think has huge potential is personalized training.
Okay.
Like imagine an AI that could actually analyze, your individual biomechanics, track your progress in real time, and adjust your training plan as you go.
Whoa. That's like having a coach who can see inside your body
Right.
and knows exactly how to push you to your limits.
Exactly. And we're already seeing, wearable tech that tracks all sorts of stuff, heart rate, sleep patterns.
Oh, yeah. All that data.
Right. If AI could take that data and make sense of it for each individual, it could really revolutionize the way we train athletes.
So instead of just relying on like these general training plans that, might work for some people,
Right.
we could have workouts that are specifically designed for our, strengths and weaknesses,
Exactly.
constantly adapting as we progress.
Exactly. But there's a big difference between collecting all that data and actually understanding what it means for each person.
Right. It's not just numbers.
Yeah, that's where I think AI still has a lot to learn.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's not just about knowing that, okay, your heart rate's up. It's about why. Is
Yeah.
it because you're working hard? Are you stressed? Are you dehydrated? You need more than just data to figure that out.
It's like understanding the whole picture.
Yeah, the human body's complex, it's
Yeah.
dynamic.
Right.
And let's not forget about the psychological side of things.
Oh, yeah. The mental game.
Right. AI would need to understand, an athlete's motivation, their mood, even their personality to really personalize their training.
I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah.
Imagine an AI trying to, motivate an athlete who's feeling down or helping them overcome like a fear of failure.
Yeah.
That takes some serious emotional intelligence.
It's a huge challenge, but, researchers are actually exploring how AI can recognize and respond to human emotions.
Really?
There's a whole field called affective computing that's focused on this.
So you're saying we could have AI trainers that not only, design our workouts,
yeah,
but also provide like emotional support.
it's possible.
That's wild.
It's an area with a lot of potential, but it also raises some ethical questions.
Right. Like how much should we rely on technology for our, emotional well-being?
Exactly. Where do we draw the line?
It's a good point.
Yeah.
But for now, let's stick to the practical stuff.
Okay.
If AI could actually personalize training plans like that in real time, what would that mean for athletes at, all levels?
I think the biggest benefit would be injury prevention.
Okay.
If AI could analyze your movements, how tired you are,
Uh-huh.
it could spot those risk factors before they become a problem and, adjust your training to keep you safe.
So we'd see way fewer athletes getting sidelined
Exactly.
with those overuse injuries.
Right.
That'd be huge.
It could also help athletes recover from injuries faster
Oh, yeah.
by tailoring those rehab programs to their specific need.
And help them avoid overtraining, too.
Exactly, by keeping an eye on those stress levels.
So basically smarter, more efficient training for everyone.
That's the idea.
It's amazing to think that, maybe one day elite level training could be accessible to more athletes
Right.
thanks to AI. It's like leveling the playing field in a way we've never seen before.
I agree, but even with all the tech in the world, you can't replace the human connection and the experience that a coach brings.
Right. That makes sense.
AI can give you all this data, all these insights,
Uh-huh.
but it can't replace the empathy, the intuition, the nuanced understanding of a human coach.
So it's not about replacing coaches.
No.
It's about giving them better tools.
It's about working together.
Right, like a partnership to
Exactly.
create the best possible training.
Think of it like an artisan
Yeah.
and their tools. The AI can handle the data, the recommendations.
Okay.
But the coach uses their expertise, their understanding of the athlete to make the final call.
That's a great analogy. It's like a painter using a digital brush to create a masterpiece. The technology is powerful, but it's still the artist who brings it all together.
And in sports, that artist is the coach.
I love that.
They're the ones who understand the athlete's goals, their dreams, their fears,
Right.
and they can guide them on that journey.
This has been so eye-opening. It seems like AI has the potential to, really transform the way we train.
Yeah,
But that human element will always be at the heart of it.
absolutely. And speaking of transformation, let's shift gears a bit
Okay.
and talk about another area where AI is making waves, sports analytics.
That's where it's already having a huge impact, right?
Yeah.
Like teams are using AI to analyze how players perform, scout out their opponents, even predict who's going to win.
It's like having this superpowered assistant coach who can look at massive amounts of data and spot those patterns that we might miss.
Wow. And this actually leads us to our final source for today's deep dive, which looks at how AI is changing the game of player recruitment. Ooh, this is getting good. I'm ready. Okay. So we've talked about how AI could, personalize training, even provide emotional support for athletes. And now we're jumping into this whole world of sports analytics and player recruitment. It seems like AI is already changing the game.
It really is. Teams are using it to go through tons of data player stats, videos, even social media, to find those hidden talents and evaluate players in a way that's more objective than before.
It's like Moneyball, but on a whole other level.
Exactly.
But it makes me wonder, where does ChatGPT fit into all of this? We've been talking about it as this potential, AI trainer, but it's not really a number cruncher, right?
True. ChatGPT's strength is in processing and generating text like a human. But that can be so valuable in sports analytics. Imagine using it to create these in-depth scouting reports on other teams. It could analyze game footage, stats, articles, you name it, and then summarize, strengths, weaknesses, tendencies, all the stuff that would normally take scouts hours and hours to do.
That would free up so much time for coaches and scouts to actually, focus on strategy and really observing players.
Exactly.
And ChatGPT could theoretically do this for any team at any level, right?
Absolutely. And it's not just about, scouting opponents. ChatGPT could help coaches communicate those strategies more effectively, too.
Oh, what?
Imagine generating these personalized game plans for each player based on their skill set and, the other team's weaknesses.
It's like having a custom playbook for every single game,
Right?
tailored to each player's strengths. It seems like AI is giving teams this huge advantage both on and off the field.
Absolutely. But just like with any powerful tool, we have to be careful about how we use it. There's always that risk of relying too much on AI and forgetting about the human side of sports.
Yeah, that's such an important point. Ultimately, AI should be there to empower coaches, athletes,
Yeah.
even fans. Not to take away from, that human passion and skill that makes sports so captivating.
I couldn't agree more. It's all about finding that sweet spot between using the power of AI, but also preserving those things that make sports so special to us.
This whole deep dive has honestly made me think about the future of sports in a whole new way.
Yeah.
And it seems like AI is going to be a bigger and bigger part of it moving forward.
Oh, yeah.
And it's exciting to think about all the possibilities, but it's also important to remember that, human ingenuity and spirit and passion will always be at the heart of it all.
Well said. It really is an exciting time to be following the world of sports.
It is. Who knows what amazing breakthroughs we'll see in the next few years.
I know, right? The future's wide open.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
This is just the beginning of exploring what AI can do in sports, and we've only just scratched the surface.
We have.
Well, thanks for joining us on this fascinating journey today. It's been a pleasure having you here.
The pleasure was all mine.
Yeah. And to all of our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in the world of sports. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.